This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Oh, listeners, shoving on now your new number one, 98.5 KFOX, the South Bay's Classic Rock in San Jose. Bam! And Portland's Classic Rock, 92.3 KGON. And our friends at 98.3 The Keg in lovely Fayetteville, Arkansas. Welcome to the big show. Your guess is as good as mine. Categories today will be the most popular streets in the U.S. and the most popular ice creams. We're going to go with what you don't need to know and go to the movies for some very popular movies that were made back in the day. They would not fly now just based on where we are as a society. Profile this, and the shot is all coming up as well.
Miles, we got some comments that came in. We were just talking about in Germany, and the story is all abuzz right now. 2 guys escaped from their nursing home, so they're of whatever age, but they're found at 3 o'clock in the morning at this massive metal festival.
Living after midnight.
Yeah, living after midnight with...
They're breaking the law, apparently.
So a couple of people that chime in that said, first of all, and I'll just read them as they come in, Wacken is the biggest metal festival in the world. Wacken is a huge metal fest. Now that follows the W is pronounced as a V.
Not anymore.
Which is followed by, it's pronounced with a V.
Okay, vacking it.
Yeah.
Would you have to be vacking
What were you doing? I was vacking it.
Oh, yeah, vacking it.
So he wasn't doing what
Why were you late? I was at home vacking
it.
Oh, yeah.
And they point out Glenn Tipton has Parkinson's, not Alzheimer's.
All right. Well, see, we don't do details on this program.
Not
Obviously,
important.
you've been listening long enough. You knew.
Random.
Whatever he's got, he can't do it anymore. He's too old.
Right, that's the point.
The point is he's too old to be doing it full time.
Hello, Jason. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola. Okay. What do we got here for you? Oh, man, let's see here. All right. Okay. When is the last time you smoked weed? That is your random question. When is the last time that you smoked weed?
I cannot answer that because I get urinalysis at both my jobs.
Oh, you do? Okay, and you have 2 jobs.
Ask me another one.
Well, wait, as far as the urinalysis goes, is it scheduled or is it random?
Both.
Both. Okay.
And most of the time, random is their way of saying it's not random, but we happened to look at your Facebook page and notice that you were smoking a joint at a festival.
So now we're going to
So the random part about that, very rarely do they come around. Random means that we have a pretty good idea that if you're late 3 days in a row,
Right.
we're randomly going to test you for this. You know what I mean? No random guy who looks Middle Eastern gets pulled in the TSA line just randomly out.
I randomly get picked 100% of the time.
Like, randomly that doesn't happen.
I'm like, I don't think you know what random means.
Are you operating heavy machinery?
No. I'm in the reserves.
Okay.
All right.
That deals with the FCC.
Yeah. No,
the military. We're pretty aware of that.
We're governed by the FCC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a federal agency. So even though certain states have legalized marijuana, because it's a federal agency, that's why you can't have like Willie Nelson's Big Buds on sale this weekend at Bud World, because it's a federal law that it's not legal.
That's honestly it, man.
So you can't go and advertise Bud World or wherever the name of your local marijuana
That's
shop
right.
is.
TV, radio, all that. I think you could on cable because it's not FCC
You don't
governed.
think for 5 minutes we wouldn't have a marijuana out there for you to smoke for charity? I mean, don't you think that we would already been way ahead of that game?
1/1000th of 1 second is how long it would take.
Right.
And see, this is
all
the horrible
and the
thing.
money would go to the goddamn Fisher House just to stick it right to them.
And here's the thing.
Well, what's really funny is that my girlfriend, she smokes weed, right? And sometimes I go to the dispensaries with her. And then when we go there, like, I have my military ID on the outside of my wall because I use it a lot for Army paperwork. And they'll see the ID because they check for IDs, and I always have that one on top. And I pull my driver's license out to show them the ID so that I can be in there. And they're like, "Oh, military, we do a military discount." Every military ever gets piss tested.
Oh, yeah, I know, but still,
that's why they do it, just to mess with it. We know you get tested, but you can get it.
The biggest deal in the world, just for you. Well, hopefully you can get that for your wife anyway, or whatever.
And it's amazing. We, as soon as weed became legal in different states, we have been approached by multitudes of people that grow the weed, whatever. Yeah. Would you guys like to lend your name to weed? And we say we absolutely 1,000,000,000% would love to, because it's something we believe in and stand behind, but we cannot, just because of the FCC regulation.
No, that's all.
Now, that said, the FCC does not take the time to drug test anyone, because if they did, and this is true, whether it's TV or radio, FCC would go out of business. There would be no one left in television or radio for them to govern. It would all dry up.
All right, so they did this huge nationwide study, and they went around and they asked a bunch of different people if they smoke pot or not, and it was based on 1 month. It was like, hey, in the month of June, did you smoke weed? That was basically it.
Yep.
Where do you think more people smoke weed? In the United States? Now, keep in mind.
By the state, you mean?
Yeah, and think about this, because I know we have a lot of listeners that listen in other places where the weed isn't legalized. If you come to the West Coast, Alaska is legal, Washington is legal, Oregon is legal, and California is legal. So the entire West Coast is legal. That includes the state of Hawaii. Right. It also includes the state of Nevada and Colorado. So just even in the west side.
Yeah, once you go west of the Mississippi.
All those states have legalized marijuana. Legal marijuana. So when you ask people if they smoked in those states, it's all available and they can buy it legally. But what state came out on top?
I mean, I would guess Colorado.
Massachusetts is the nation's real pot capital. Yes. Massachusetts has the dubious distinction of being the pot capital of the country.
How's that dubious?
A state legislature, and it's legal in Massachusetts, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know if they've gotten the stuff. Maybe they've gotten the stores open. Hopefully, if they do, and they're the first on it, people will drive everywhere. I mean, because East Coasters, they'll drive 24 hours in a heartbeat.
Because you can cover 18 states.
You'll have people driving up from Florida just to get the legal weed. I'm telling you right now.
Well, it's the same as like casinos, man. You could go to Atlantic City in New Jersey, Atlantic City is what the devil poops from. Just picture that. That's what Atlantic City is. But they got a ton of business because you couldn't gamble anywhere else. And once the tribes could start opening these casinos, everyone jumped on it because you got tired of seeing all of your taxes. Smart states didn't like seeing their money from their taxpayers go to other places.
Yep.
So they started opening casinos, and for no other reason, to keep your tax dollars in your state. And those are states that understand economics, how it works, and put your emotion aside. So I get the feeling that a lot of these states are going to start legalizing weed, if only because you can make an extra $1 billion for your state, right? Just because it's legal. Otherwise, I'm going to leave your state and go buy it somewhere else and contribute to their economy. That's stupid.
The guy called in the military, pain management, PTSD, all these problems that the opiates and all the other have. Massachusetts
who are you in bed with?
Has a really hard time with that. West Virginia, my home state, has a really hard time with that. If those guys can smoke weed.
The Fed in bed with, man. I mean, that's all it is.
State legislative report released found that 21% of all Massachusetts residents said they'd smoke marijuana in June. In June. About half, 50%, between 18 and 25 years old said they had smoked pot in June, the last month. The release report was put together as part of the state's efforts to determine the good and bad behind legalizing marijuana. The next state with the highest reported use of pot is, back to those legalized states,
Colorado.
Vermont.
Damn it, I'm trying to stick with Colorado.
Well, you think one of the legal places would have the most...
Well, what we know, the only thing I know about Vermont is that people smoke weed and drive Subarus.
Didn't they legalize marijuana in Vermont? But you can't, they don't, it's like, it's legal here, we're not going to put you in jail, but we're not going to sell it either. Or something weird. I don't know. Maybe not. Again, we don't do facts.
Before weed was legal, did you have a hard time finding weed?
A hard time?
I've never had a hard time finding. So it doesn't matter. Well, look, if you're not going to prosecute people for having it or smoking it, no harm, no foul. Whether you sell it legally or not, weed is the easiest thing to get, man. So if you live in a state that just says, look, we're not going to prosecute you for having it, I go, thank God, because I just bought some. Store or not, it's weed.
Colorado, the pot capital of the United States, 15% use marijuana, or at least did in the month of June. Now, it's believed that marijuana use in Massachusetts will increase substantially once it becomes legal to sell after in later this year, apparently. So they're just waiting, I guess. So it must be legal.
They're pre-gaming, yeah.
They are. They say critics of marijuana legalization have said studies show they just shut up. Report estimated that $216 million in new tax revenue would come in during the first 2 years that marijuana was legalized in Massachusetts. Again, $216 million in new tax revenue, provided that about 65% of users would purchase their product from commercial shops and pot dispensaries. That's the idea. Massachusetts did legalize marijuana in November of 2016. It's the 7th state to have done so, and finally they're getting to the point where they're going to be able to put some of that stuff in stores. Random question, 844-999-HOLA.
Random,
some good news, by the way. As far as the military discount, look, we know you get pissed at it, but the military discount, someone explains, the military discount applies to those that are also out of the military. So
good.
Whether you're active or not, right, you still get the discount. So smoke up. Hello, Cody. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Cody, here's your random question. Who called the cops? Why did they call the cops?
Actually, I don't know who called the cops. It was probably, the neighbors or something. But I was at my first house party when I was 16-ish, 15 or 16. And, just having a good time. This guy was moving out of his house, so it was like a couple chairs and a table and pretty much nothing else in the place. So we were just, kind of just raging it up as being high schoolers. And there was a bunch of different, ages there. Probably, there was me and my friend who brought me there, and he had friends that were older, and then there were some older fellas as well. And then the cops came, and my dad had to come pick me up at like 2 a.m. or something.
What is that car ride like when Dad shows up?
At 2 a.m.
It wasn't. He didn't really say much, but he knew that I was, basically being a teenager, and I didn't do anything, dangerous. I was getting drunk, of course, which is not great, but just the whole next day, he just made me do a bunch of chores.
Look, man,
6 a.m.
All you want to do as a father, you just want that moment where, and I found this with my father, and I've been pulling this crap with my son lately, only because he's getting older, where you wade into these pools, but it's more, you make a quick statement about what's obvious, right? You don't necessarily, they know you're disappointed, you make your statement, and then there's that weird silence that you realize is almost crippling to the kid. I could feel my father sucking the life force out of me with his silence, man, and it was worse than getting yelled at.
The reason we asked who called the cops and why, boy, oh boy, an incident in Cedar Falls generated 3 different calls to the police in a span of 5 days. A concerned neighbor claimed that 10-year-old Savannah Waters was risking the safety of children in their neighborhood with the amount of traffic that her Girl Scouts selling cookies were bringing in.
Dear God.
We've had a little girl that's been, quote, selling cookies and water for 4 weeks, and the traffic is getting to the point that they're using our driveway to turn around. It's getting out of control. Savannah said her business was going really well until the neighbors called police and that she had no idea anyone had issues with it. I wish that I would have known first because we didn't know anything. I just wanted to sell some Girl Scout cookies, and it's just hard to believe they didn't come and talk to me or my mom. Authorities told Savannah she could continue selling as long as she moved into her driveway. Shockingly, Savannah is white.
Dear God, man. Now you know it's out of control.
This is insane.
Right.
What is going on? This is a 10-year-old white girl. Holy cow. Random question. 844-999-OLA. More calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Coming up, what you don't need to know goes to the movies right before we drink and tell us with a shot of the day. In the meantime, it is our random question. 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Aaron. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola. How are you, Aaron? Aaron, let's see here. Get you a random question. Okay. All right. When did, you ever hurt yourself having sex? You ever have a sex injury?
I never have a sex injury. Not that I'm aware of. So far, it's proven to be fairly resilient.
Okay.
Fairly resilient.
You never.
It's always a word I like to use in my penis. Always very resilient.
Never had an incident where you pulled a muscle or got a cramp or injured the other person, fell off the bed, nothing like that?
Injured the other person, yeah, that's happened plenty of times. I get rather excited, and so, heads might start hitting the baseboard or the headboard of the bed or whatever you call it.
Yeah, but that's an earned injury. That's like getting tackled in football, man. That's I did get a, in that particular position, I am behind, and I remember I had the most unfortunate Charlie horse in that moment. It's like 22 or something, and I had maybe half a second from the time I realized it was going to happen that it hit. Because let's face it, man, sometimes when you're having sex, there are other things maybe going on with your body that you will fight through. You will hold the fart. Maybe you have to take a leak. Maybe you have to poop. But look, all right, you can get through this. I'm gonna wait that out. Right? Whatever it might be, some weird bodily fluids. I'm gonna ignore all this. The Charlie horse, man, it's on my left thigh. We're doing our business and we're getting there. As we were told before, the plane is coming in for a landing, so to speak. But that Charlie horse hit and it was over. it was over. 2 hands on her like just pushing her off, me dropping back on the bed screaming, and it's humiliating, it hurts, and when it's over, there is no chance you resume. Like the mood has been killed, man.
The reason we asked, you ever been injured having a little sex? And this is a crazy story. Back to Germany we go there, Waben, for a serial killer jailed for the murder of 5 women. He was found dead in his cell. Egidius, E-G-I-D-I-U-S.
Whatever you want to say, I'm down with that.
Egidius Schiffer.
Egidius.
He was a famous strangler back in the day. Is believed to have killed himself accidentally whilst masturbating with electric shocks in a prison in Germany. He was found dead on Sunday with a table lamp cord attached to his body parts while the other end was plugged into an electric socket.
Damn.
This guy murdered 5 hitchhikers between 1983 and 1990 and was sentenced to life imprisonment, according to the Times. He had removed a cable from the bedside table lamp, then wound it around his nipples and his penis and stuck the end in a power socket. He was being held in solitary confinement, last seen alive at 1 p.m. He was jailed 18 years after his last murder after DNA evidence linked him to the killings. In 2008, he was caught because he'd given a DNA sample to police after being suspected of stealing scrap metal.
Damn.
That's how he got busted.
Man, maybe it's just me. All right, but in all of my years of masturbation, and other than involuntarily body functions like breathing and sleeping, I would say as far as something I have done voluntarily, masturbation probably I have done the longest, right? Like I said,
sure, most consistent.
Right, consistently, and from the moment I discovered it, it is something that I have held dear, right? And it's almost like I'm a Buddhist monk because I practice this art as much as I possibly can, but I have never, ever, not one time either felt the need to bring in props or tools or anything to help out. So, like, I've never felt the need to, like, shock my nipples and my penis while I'm handling.
No.
I don't need a bottle of lotion. It's like, man, it's masturbation. This is as simple a thing as can possibly. You don't need to bring all. I mean, and look, if you do, God bless you. Have fun with it. But like, I just can't imagine putting myself in danger.
Have you ever done
to masturbate?
Have you ever done stem
treatment? What, the electric?
I've
I've seen it, but I've never done it.
When I used to get that in high school and college on my knees and my ankles and stuff playing football, I always thought, I wonder what this would do to your penis.
What do you think it would do?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, okay, so they hook it up to your ankle or leg or knee, right?
It's just giving like a little electronic,
I know, but do you think...
You can turn it up, turn it down.
Do you think your Jimmy could handle it, right? Because your knees and your ankles can take more... I've hit my knee on a coffee table, and it sucks. But somewhere in my mind, I'm like, be glad it wasn't your penis, because I think it would hurt more. Someone has to have tried. None of the guys you played football with ever said, hey, man, I hooked this up to my dizzle and went to town.
No, because it was in a training room. So I think you'd have to go. You'd have to ask the people who are in charge of that training area who would be after exactly, because they would be the ones who would have to administer that. Because you couldn't just go in and hook yourself up to stem. Like they had to come in and they jelly you up and all that crap.
Okay.
They find the right areas and they put that stuff on there. They tape you all up.
Do you just clinch? Does it hurt? Like what kind of sensation are we talking about?
It depends on the severity of what you've done. It's supposed to I'm
going to start low voltage.
If I broke or sprained my ankle real bad, I've got all this fluid in there. I've got all this stuff. So I'm already pretty well in a bad state. So where they put these stems, I'm not sure what it's doing because I'm already injured. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Is it breaking up the fluid? Is it keeping the swelling down?
Someone has
Is it doing all these things? I don't know. But, but all the time when it's on me, I'm thinking I wonder what this would do to my boys.
Right.
I bet that'd feel good.
I guess I had access.
It's look, man, you get in a hot tub, right? But every once in a while, you back yourself up to the jet and you're like, ooh, the hot tub itself is just fine. But sometimes you get on a jet and you're like, oh man, look out.
We, one of the restaurants I worked in, there was a woman house sitting for this couple. This couple has a lot of money. Anyway, they invited us all over. They have this huge, hot tub. And it's 3 a.m, but we all show up there and everyone's just talking and doing their thing, and I won't say her name, Missy, but we realize even though she's the one who's invited us all over, she is unusually quiet, because quiet is not what she's known for. So you kind of glance at her, and she's in the hot tub with everyone, man, and her eyes are locked and looking straight ahead, and she just has this massive orgasm, and we're like, what? But you don't realize that's what's going on at first. Right? So we're like, what is, so she has no shame. She has her moment, right? And we're all just kind of egging her on a little bit, and she's like, I sat on the jet. Oh my God. She's like, I didn't know, but she said once it started and she realized what was going on, she's like,
I'm in.
I wasn't moving for anybody, man. She's like, look, sorry you had to see that.
That's why I locked eyes on you.
That needed to finish.
Random question 844-999.
Random.
Hello, Chris. Welcome to the men's room.
Yeah, that was
I'm just kidding. Hola, boys.
Hola. Yeah, that was
That was a hell of a day.
oh boy. All right, let's go with this random question. How did you get home? If you even remember, how did you get home? Could be a long journey, could be a short night, could be a ugly ride in the morning.
Oh man, one time we were celebrating my boy's 21st birthday out at a bar. Guy ends up closing the bar down, giving us free drinks, all this kind of stuff. So I'm just completely hammered. Just come to find out, to find the bartender who was giving us all the beer and stuff and the alcohol was hitting on my wife.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm not too hip on that. I kind of snapped. And people started scattering, including the bartender, in which he ran out the front door. And I ended up, I'm sure we've all had this dream at one point or another where you just want to thrash a bar.
Okay.
That's exactly what I did. I mean, bars behind the mirrors behind the bar, the pool table light, all that kind of stuff.
Now, when you said it was your boy, are you talking about your son or your friend?
Nah, one of my friends.
Okay, all right.
Guy I used to work with.
Okay.
And so now everyone's left the bar except you, and you're in a drunken rage smashing this place.
Correct. Completely lost it.
Now, do you remember this, or is this what everyone's telling you the next day?
Oh no, I remember it pretty vividly.
Sounds to me like you're also drunk enough where you didn't realize this was going on at the time, because if you knew, you would have said something or tried to stop it before that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So this guy takes off, the bartender takes off, I thrash the place. The people who I'm with have now freaked out because I've obviously lost it, and they left me.
Oh, good times.
They got in my car and drove home.
Okay, so
how much longer are you in? Like, how long were you in there trashing the place?
The whole trashing part between the kitchen, the back of the bar, the pool tables, and the guy's car, which I broke about 3 or 4 keys off on.
Damn.
Yeah, I like I said, I just snapped. There's one thing you don't do, and that's touch my wife, and that crossed the line for me.
Yeah. Are you still with your
Okay,
wife?
well, you put your hands on
Are you
her,
still?
sure.
You're still with your wife? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, 25 years
All
now.
right. Okay. Very cool.
Well, if
Very
nothing else, she knows you have her back.
cool. Did you end up walking or what?
I did about 3 miles to my house from where we were.
That's not bad. You can do that when you're
How
drunk,
did the
man. You can do
cops-
that in 45.
But how do the cops never? If I walk in the wrong neighborhood, the cops show up. How can you be inside of a bar trashing the place and the cops never? No one called the cops or anything.
Oh, come on, thrill 'em white.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That's what I'm saying.
So you can do that. Like you
My
can't. You
ass,
can't walk at
I
night.
got
can
arrested.
I can walk anywhere I want at night, but you can't.
Well, not anywhere you can.
Right, but I can walk in a lot of places that you can't.
Yeah.
Like with most of the population.
At night.
Yes, in general.
Doesn't
yeah.
matter if it's night.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
If I am seen, I am suspicious. That is the general. There's a suspicion, ma'am. You can just say black.
That's a good point.
We know how it goes.
Reason we asked how did you get home? Here's a crazy one. There's an Amish guy in Colon in Southwest Michigan named Timothy.
Is it Cologne or Colon?
I'm going to go Colon. I'm going to go Colon.
Come on, man.
It's Colon. It's Colon, Michigan. It is the butthole of Michigan.
It is. Yeah.
There's a guy there named Timothy Hostetler, and he just launched something he's calling Amish Uber, where he'll give you a ride in his horse and buggy for $5. Unlike Uber, you cannot get Amish Uber with your cell phone. Timothy doesn't use one, so to get a ride from him, you have to flag him down. You honestly just have to put your hand up.
Okay, don't stop.
He's driving around, so really it's more like an Amish taxi, but it doesn't have the same cool ring as Amish Uber, so he's sticking with Amish Uber. So if you find yourself in Colon, Michigan there, you gotta ride home.
A couple of comments coming in. One of the questions you asked, if you ever had a sex injury. Mm-hmm. A few people chimed in, and then we got on to talk about masturbation with the electronic, STEM?
The STEM thing, I don't know.
All right, so as far as sex injuries, it says, my ex bit my neck so hard I lost feeling from my shoulder to my ear for 8 months.
Wow.
8 months. This one, you can apply your imagination to guess what they were doing. I was having sex with someone who had really curly hair. That turned out to be the perfect thing for pulling out my 2 eyebrow piercings when they got tangled up. I can see what's going on there. Can you picture this? Yes.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Someone else says, wait, did Thrills say no lotion as far as masturbation? They called me a barbarian. I said, call me Conan. And as far as hooking up that stem thing to your penis to see what would happen.
Yes.
It says you can get stem machines on Amazon. I would never consider hooking mine up to my junk. Someone else
No,
says,
it's just a thought I had. I'm 20 years old. I'm sitting there, you know what I mean? I'm like, I wonder what that feels like on my boys.
and then it says on a dare, I hooked up an electronic massager to my junk. It was pretty damn intense. Not painful, but uncomfortable.
Intense, yeah.
And then someone agrees that says, Thrill, if I saw you walking along the beach, I'd be scared. Thanks.
Why?
That's good to know. Because they know how to come over and kick their ass.
Okay.
Random.
I didn't say I'm not going to mug anyone. I just said they call the cops on me before I even get the chance.
Right.
Hello, Rich. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Oh, let's see
How's it going
here.
there, gentlemen?
We're doing great. Rich, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, except for, I guess they got this crazy cat killer in my town.
They got a cat killer.
This thing,
Oh,
we
we
just
heard
read
about
this.
Is that
so
your
what I
town?
read, it was, 7 cats, and when they found them, the spines have been removed from each of them.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what he did. All I know is he mutilated them, and I think he put one out at church and in somebody's yard and wherever. They need to catch that crazy SOB. That's all I know.
Well, they said, we read this, Miles and I were actually just talking about this in the last break, but so far it's been 7 cats over a period of months, I believe. Each of the cats has had its spine removed. So this is a real story, so if it sounds uncomfortable, just know this is what's going on. But they said whoever's doing it, they said there's nothing particularly, they try to do it surgically, but whoever's doing it has no medical training, as best they can tell.
So there's no precision to this.
There's no precision, but for whatever reason, it is a little weird, man. That's some creepy.
Well, it happened 3 blocks down the street from my house, so, I mean.
Do you have a cat by chance?
Oh, no.
Are these
really like cats, but I don't like.
Well, yeah, but nobody wants that.
I don't see why somebody would do that.
Are they strays or are they people's cats that are just, indoor, outdoor cats?
I couldn't tell you, man. I just know everybody's on edge because if they're doing that to cats, what are they going to do to somebody next?
Who knows? It's probably just a sick kid. What do you think?
But listen, and we all agree, right? We all grew up with a kid. There's always the one kid you knew in the group of people that was a little stranger than the rest and had the proclivity to do odd things. And none of us would be surprised if serial killer,
if we asked,
murderer.
If we asked 100 people who killed that cat, all right, we can narrow it down to the 5 people. We can come up with
Right.
5 people.
names.
And one of those people in that group is good. Like it's just like the Green River Killer.
Everyone seems to know.
Like, oh yeah, I worked with the guy. We knew he was killing people. He's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't a big secret. Like, oh, you should have just asked us. We could have told you.
Right.
I think the same holds true there. You just walk around and go like, oh, look at that guy. Okay, all right. First of all, let's go like this. It's not a female. All right, 50% of the population gone right off the top. Let's do this like Profiler. There's no woman out there doing that kind of crap. All right, so
that's the last thing I would take.
You can take half the because you can take half the population out right away. Now you're 50% closer. So
agreed. Agreed.
All right, let's go with this question.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably a sick teenager just.
Yep.
Sick somebody.
Yeah, right. Let's see here. You've had a pet in your lifetime. Let's go with this question. And what happened to your pet? That's your random question. What happened to your pet?
Which one, man?
I remember I had this dog. It was a Lassive, and he was just kind of untrainable. So the
Based
guy
on
that
dumbness?
my mom was dating at the time said he ran away, but I think they had different plans for him or whatnot. Because he was very aggressive. He was mean. Like, he didn't even like me, but I loved him.
Well, the one thing for sure is, like, no dog who's mean and aggressive likes anybody's boyfriend coming into a house every once in a while.
We said didn't even like you.
That's one of the things. That's what I mean. Like, dogs do not like
he
people.
didn't even like me, but I loved him. I was just a kid. So I'm like, oh, he'll get better. And he never got better.
Okay.
And then he
because when you say mean and aggressive lad, that often doesn't. There's
something wrong.
Yeah, that doesn't pair up very well. What happened to your pet? The reason we asked that, the Indiana Division of Fish and Wildlife is, that we would say hello, is reminding citizens of the dangers, I had to do that, of goldfish dumping. Again, reminding citizens of the dangers of goldfish dumping after pulling an oversized goldfish from a small pond last week.
Give me chicken.
In a Facebook post, state officials explained that once out of the tank, goldfish can grow to sizes not commonly seen in the pet store. Example, according to the Indiana Division of Lake and Wildlife, they found 31 goldfish between 7 and 12 inches at Roush Lake near Huntington earlier this summer.
Damn.
They also breed a lot with other orphaned goldfish and common carp. You know why? Because they're carp, becoming easily detrimental to a body of water. They can overpopulate and outcompete native fish, throwing the food chain off balance, decreasing diversity, allowing opportunities, blah, 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 blah. All you need to know is this. All they're saying is, don't throw the goldfish away in the pond.
So, flush them? I mean, wait, who throws away the living goldfish? Like, I thought you flush it. It's a goldfish, man.
I don't know.
There's not that much
They could have gone down the drain. There's a lot of different ways here, but they say, please do not throw your goldfish.
If you can't take care of a goldfish, don't get a pet.
Please rethink the responsibility of owning a goldfish and what to do with it.
There's very little.
Too much to take care of, said Indiana Division of Fish and Wildlife on their Facebook.
A goldfish is not too much to take care of.
You'll be doing your native fish and water bodies a huge service.
Come on.
Random question, 844-9990. At least it's not a snakehead. More of your calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bichola. You have entered the men's room.
Your guess is as good as mine. Coming up, the categories will be the most popular street names in the United States of America and the top 10 ice cream flavors. Yes, another poll has been done, and once again, we will share that with you coming up with Your Guess is as good as mine. In the meantime, it is our random question, 844-999-HOLA.
Hello, Stefan. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Liquor and whores.
Liquor and whores. All right. Stefan, it sounds like you're driving. Are you driving?
I am driving, but I'm about to stop.
No, you don't have to stop on our behalf here. Why were you pulled over, Stefan? That's our random question for you. Why were you pulled over?
Man, that sucks because I like to think of myself as a good driver. I've only been pulled over twice in my whole driving carear.
You don't have to be a bad driver to get pulled over. You have to get caught. My father is a very, very good driver, but if he can drive 278 frickin' miles an hour, guess what he's going to try to do? He's going to do exactly that.
No, the only time I can really think of is I was driving home from the beach one time in Southern California, and I was driving down Maricopa Highway, and it's just this long highway with nobody there, and I think the speed limit was like 50 or something like that, which I wasn't going to go. There was nobody on the road, so I was going like 75 and got pulled over for it.
Get a ticket?
I mean, yeah, I did. He was really nice, and I mean, yeah, I got a ticket. It sucked, but that's the only time I've ever gotten a ticket.
That's not bad.
Really? Man,
really?
Oh, man.
How long have you been driving?
I've been driving for 11 years, and you know, all my jobs I drive. I have my Class A, and I've never had any trouble. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, I guess if you drive for a living, you probably have kind of a different tack on how you choose to drive as well.
Is there any, since you drive for a living, is there any cars that you look out for specifically just based on your perfect driving record?
Like if you just see a certain make or model of car, you make an estimation about who's driving that vehicle and just know, steer clear of them.
Yes. I have some very strong feelings about some cars. I do.
All right, what do you got? And explain why.
I hate minivan drivers. They are the worst drivers in the world. They have no idea what they're doing, and they will just drive into your lane without even paying attention.
Okay.
That's just one of them.
Do you ever feel like maybe they need to say, like, if your car comes standard with things like headlights, a blinker, a steering wheel, an accelerator, and a brake, we assume it's because every time you drive, these things come in very, very handy.
I will ask you this. Now, based on that, have you ever rented a car and gotten a minivan?
Heck no.
Okay, well,
don't do it.
No, shut up. Listen,
Don't do it.
I'm telling you, I did.
It doesn't matter.
I did in Los Angeles, and it was awesome.
Sure.
So it sucks that the minivan driver is blowing the minivan experience because I was like, oh man, a minivan. Like I did the same thing, right? At the Enterprise or whatever, the budget. And then the next thing you know, I'm like, I'm loving this thing.
Now, listen, I hear you. I once got it was a Chrysler Pacifica, I believe it is. Kind of a glorified minivan a little bit, and get stuck with this thing. And listen, it drove beautifully, wonderful vehicle, and all I could think is, I would never spend a dime on this car.
Right.
Like, it's a fine, there's nothing wrong with the car.
Perfect for my weekend.
Until you get in it.
Is there anything other than the minivan that you try to avoid?
He dropped.
All right, okay.
What car, just as far as you know, and everyone says this, but it proves to be true, the Prius, man. And it's just, it's a certain, it seems to me, and I know this is not true, but this is a generalized statement, and it's from the outside looking in. But it seems like if you drive a Prius and you are not a cab driver, then generally speaking, I don't know if you've become so smug like a vegan where you feel that, hey, because I'm helping the environment, which on a quick side note, you're really, truly not. But your belief that you're helping the environment, therefore, because you're doing the world some good, which you are not, nothing else applies to you. Because you're doing, I don't need my blinker. I don't even need to drive the speed limit. And I understand the cars don't go fast, but they can go the speed limit.
Well, that's one advantage to seeing a taxi. When you see a taxi and you see the light on top of the yellow car,
you know they don't care about it.
If they're in a neighborhood, you know, okay, well, they don't live there. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you see a gray Prius.
No, they all live in my neighborhood. If you are
all right, well,
dude,
that's good.
If you live in my neighborhood, right, and it's north of the city, and what I've discovered is a lot of cab drivers I recognize, and this is how I figured it out. A lot of guys will be like, hey, man, what's going on? And I recognize a few. And they say, you going home? I say, yeah. And they're like, we'll give you a lift. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. They said, look, my shift is done, but I live within 4 blocks of you. And then what I've realized, as I walk around and start looking in driveways, like,
everybody's got a cab.
Oh my God, everyone that drives a cab lives basically, they're my neighbor.
In my world, it's not that I'm on the scooter. So in my world, it's not that.
The Prius of the two-wheeled world.
It's just the drivers who are on driving services, and what they do is when they get a call, they just U-turn.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter if you spent, like, 5 years in New York City. It doesn't matter. Like, the U-turn in that vehicle is just a common thing.
Because you can do it.
It's just what they do. They mean, like, normal people would go, like, I'm going to whip a Yui here. Like, nobody in their brain would do that unless you're, like, on a desert road. Like, they don't give a crap. They do, and, like, you're, like, next thing you know, you're going to broadside into a Prius, you know? So, like, that's the only gripe I have. Other than that, like, if they just turn around normally, then I'd be...
They have that teeny tiny car.
I know. They just go shoop, and you're like, oh, my God, he's whipping out in front of me. Like, oh, my God, man. Like, you get that. You know what I mean? You know that they've got to give you 5 stars, and you know that you can screw them on their rating. So you don't need to be in that big of a hurry. You both got each other by the B's. You know what I mean? Random question, 844-999-HOLA.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.